Are you protesting anything?
It's a little tricky though.
I'm sorry?
It's a little hard, but you can take. Yeah.
Well, what is it?
It's the origins of the word free.
Origins of the word free.
Yeah, it's etymology.
It's a good thing actually. Free. Yeah, some different have different interpretations of the word free. That's absolutely true. Like healthcare, for example, has to be free.
It's the origins of the language.
Strictly language.
Yeah.
Yeah, but language.
Of the word. What other language is it stemmed from?
The Old English free means to love, affection, friendship, love, peace, beloved, loving, friend, free. So free means love and peace.
It started out as these things, but as the language evolves, the word evolves. So it starts out in other languages, in the base languages.
So how would you interpret things like, free healthcare, for instance? I mean, this is something that we've been talking about recently a lot.
Free healthcare? Well,
right.
I feel other countries have it. Free healthcare. I don't know.
Yeah, but with this interpretation, love, affection, friendship, peace, wife. That's interesting. So your healthcare can become your second wife or something like that, if you mean?
Healthcare and the abstract meaning of free, how does that connect?
Abstract meaning of free?
Yeah.
But things don't work in the abstract. I mean, normally when we communicate, we mean something specific, no? Usually.
Well, it's true.
So your point of sitting here in the middle of Union Square is what?
Get people to think about what it means to live every day. What it means to take and what it means
escape.
To think about what we're taking, just to see how people interact. Will they take? Will they be afraid to take? Will they ask if it's free? Will they expect to pay? It's speaking about the nature of the souvenir, nature of the consumer society. Am I a consumer or am I producing the artwork?
So, in other words, you want people to think whether the goods they're paying for are worth what they're paying them for, or whether your point is not to think about the price at all, using your word free.
It's an experience.
It's an excuse.
It's an experience.
It's an experience.
Yeah, is what you're paying for. I mean, the question is, why should we pay for things? The nature of art, the nature of putting a price tag on art and distribution.
So are you for things to be paid for, or do you advocate that things have to be free?
I feel it's an experience to get something given to you and not have to pay for it.
It's hard to hear you because you have this, this thing over your mouth.
It's not meant to be a discussion. It's meant to be an experience.
So what are you experiencing now?
I'm experiencing the way people look at me, the way they decide whether or not they're going to take, the way they ask, can I take? Is it free? Do I have to take? Can I pull? Can I take it? Like, people are asking. They're not used to taking freely. People are used to barriers. They're used to not being able to experience things freely.
So price for you is a barrier. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yeah.
So
I don't completely believe everything should be free. I just feel.
Well, I see you wearing, quite nice boots. Do you think that they were supposed to be free?
$15.
Okay, but it's $15. They're not free. It's $15.
Well, yeah.
In some countries who are paid, let's say, $2 a day, for instance, they will have to work many hours to get these boots.
There are many people on this world who aren't free, and they don't have a face. See, we as workers, we don't have a face. We market ourselves to be part of a big picture. Yet, when we get accepted into the fold, if we get a job, what are we in the end? We're just a piece of the whole. That's the point of this work. That you
can start as a worker. Wait a minute. Not everybody is a worker. You can start as a worker, for instance. You can get education and be in some sort of profession. You can be a scientist. You can be an Einstein, for crying out loud.
True.
You can save the world. You can invent
each time someone takes it off, they're revealing a little bit more of the person underneath.
What are you talking about? We're talking about free. I mean,
Yeah.
you said that the things have to be free. It's an experience. You're not supposed to pay for things. Experience
It's
them.
not that you're not supposed to pay for things. It's
This
just
is
the
what you said.
experience of. It's not that you don't have to pay. It's just sometimes it's nice to have an experience where you don't have to pay. It's nice sometimes.
When somebody pays for you, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
It's a
I'm
nice
really
experience.
speaking to souvenirs and like consumer culture, especially in when people try to cash in on tourism.
So you're against tourism, really?
I'm not against tourism. I'm just playing with it, playing with the concept.
Yeah, but I mean, especially in New York City. Do you know how much revenue the New York City gets from tourism? Are you kidding me?
Of course.
But
I feel like you go to the Met, recommended fee, no one knows.
I'm sorry, you go where?
You go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, you have a little tiny text, recommended fee. Tourists don't know. I think it's funny. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't have a stance one way or the other. I'm just trying to provide an experience of people can take. They don't have to worry about me marketing something. They don't have to worry about paying. It's just an experience of being able to take. And it's up to you to interpret. What you can see, the word free, it comes from all of these things, positive things. It's abstract, and you say things are concrete.
They are. We live in the
Exactly.
concrete specific. I mean, you're wearing concrete clothes. We have specific weather. We have concrete. Speaking of concrete, concrete. I
Yeah.
guess pavement
And that's
over
what
here.
I'm trying to do, get people to think. Maybe it's illogical, but sometimes we need that in our lives, something abstract and illogical to go, what?
It might be a good idea when you have the money. I agree. First, to make money, and then you can afford to experience things. Well, not exactly for free, but just enjoy the fruits of your labor. No?
Yeah, I suppose. I work.
Good.
I have today off.
Okay.
I don't know. I just want to.
So this is your way of spending a day off, standing
I
here in Union
suppose.
Square. Okay.
It's for my social arts practice class.
Ah, so that's what it boils down to.
Yes.
So now we're being honest.
Yeah.
So it's not really about principles and stuff like that. Just
It's an opportunity.
I see.
So I hope I can make you think a little and have a smile today. So you're smiling.
Well, it's the natural state. That's my natural state.
All right. It's nice. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. So what kind of responses are you getting? I mean, are you having any discussions?
I've had people ask, "Is it free? Do I have to pay?" I've had several people ask
For
that.
this?
Yeah.
It says right here,
Isn't that
free.
Crazy?
Yeah,
People
please
are
take
coming
one.
and
It's
asking,
free.
Do I have to take? Do I have to pay? Yeah, I'm getting that. I'm getting that response. I'm getting people like they're confused, like they're scared. They don't know if they can take. It's like also a personal space thing.
Well, actually, no. It actually proves my point. I mean, it's good, at least in this country, people still think that things are not really free. It's like, what do you mean, free? You're
Yeah,
supposed to pay for things. It's good. Unfortunately, there is a growing number of people who think
Yeah.
otherwise, things are for free. There isn't such a thing as free lunch. We all know that. And speaking of language, that's the English expression, American expression, I would say. So I came from Russia originally. People used to think that, yeah, there are free lunches. Everything was free. Everything was provided by the government. But it's a fallacy. Because you were working for slave salary. So essentially, the government would initially take everything from you and then allegedly provide you with, things for free. But not free, right there.
In terms of free healthcare, you have doctors in this country making enormous amounts of money. You go to other countries, they have a standardized salary. So you can make the argument, well, do they deserve it or not? Or I don't know. I mean,
It's the market. See,
I personally do support capitalism. I do.
that's
I believe it's healthy.
of course competition.
I think it's healthy,
That's the thing. I mean, again, coming from the other side, I mean, I can compare from first-hand experience, not from books, not from anything else, from first-hand experience. And I left the USSR when I was 29 years old, meaning I left as an adult, being part of the system. So I can easily compare one with another. And hands down, capitalism is the system that does work. I'm glad that we came to the same.
I totally agree with you. It's not really about economy. I just want. It's more about the experience of just things being overpriced. I don't want to pay $100 for a caricature. I feel people would be more successful if they charge, maybe.
Well, but again, now but when we start talking about that's a pure socialist, because the idea of capitalism and the beauty of capitalism is that competition is actually something that determines the prices. And I like using the example of, let's say, flat panel TVs. Remember, like maybe 10 years ago, you walk into Best Buy or some of the stores, you look at the price tag, it's like $7,000-$10,000. Now almost everybody has, flat panel TVs, and the prices are very affordable to everyone. Well, why is that? One thing, competition. If I were the only manufacturer of, flat panel TVs, do you think I would have...
Trade laws, too. You can't discount trade laws.
What's that?
Trade laws. Very important. You have to add in trade laws.
Trade laws, yeah, but it's secondary. That's right. But the first thing that comes into play is the manufacturer's competition. I mean, no matter what the trade laws are out there, if let's say we had only Sony that was making this TV set, prices would never go down, no matter what the trade laws would have had out there. Since we have Toshiba, and we have, let's say, Panasonic, and we have Samsung, and so on and so on and so on, and everybody wants to get the piece of the market, the prices started going down, right or wrong?
That's true.
That's true. So what's the major in arts? You said it's an arts project?
I'm not,
There's also one important part you're missing. Demand.
Oh,
If
absolutely.
there's no demand, you can't have it.
100%. No, of
Demand
course.
doesn't exist.
Absolutely. Demand, I mean, speaking of capitalism, the supply and the demand, that's the fundamental law of capitalism, no doubt about it. And that's the beauty of it also. I'm a businessman, a small businessman. I came up with some products that nobody happens to have, and I'm successful, and I'm happy with that. And
So you affected the supply. Now a question, what happens if you can't affect the supply so much?
then either I go out of business, or I think about some other product that will sell. But if there is no one who would have thought of flat panel TVs, if there's no one who would have done the research, and expensive research, obviously, then obviously, how would you have known that there is such a thing as a flat panel TV, for instance? So someone has to come up with the idea, market it, and sometimes the demand is easily preordained, like
So you came up with a great idea. You said an idea. Well, in this country, we actually do void competition for ideas. You know what a copyright is. You know what a patent is. A patent. When you get a patent, guess what happens? That's anti-capitalist.
No.
Of course it is, because
No,
you
how
own
so?
it, and nobody else can use it. You have a monopoly.
But
on that project.
what's the point of having a patent and not making any money? If I invent something, I want to sell my invention and make money.
But, you see, that's the point. You own it. You have no competition. There's an incentive into not having competition.
Oh yes, there's a competition in a sense that I came up with the widget A, which does things, let's say, 10 seconds, let's say in 10 seconds. But I happen to invent another widget that does it in 8 seconds. Who would need my patent?
Not just yet, because in the way that copyright laws are done right now, you can copyright something as basic as sort of just an operation. It doesn't have to be whether you do it faster. So if you invent just the abstract idea of an operation, this is what Apple does with Samsung. If you because basically Apple, you're talking about do it in 6 seconds versus 4 seconds. But if you just invent the idea that it does it at all, you own it.
Well, look, you're talking about the specifics, and I'm using some abstracts.
Absolutely.
I mean, the bottom line is the system works. Nobody says that this is the perfect system, but there is always this argument, especially lately, socialism versus capitalism, and it always baffles me. Again, coming from behind the Iron Curtain initially, socialism? You must be kidding me. I mean, every single so-called socialist country, there's never been socialist country to start with, actually. All of them were
socialist countries.
There are no socialist countries.
We do have socialism in this country.
everything's a
We do.
mix.
Well,
It's just a mix of what's government regulated and what's not.
See, the thing is, again, speaking of words,
This is
definition.
Who owns this? Who owns all this?
Okay, I will get to that in a second. But as far
You don't pay anything to be
as
there. You
far
don't pay anything to
well,
talk to her.
I am paying my taxes, and that's why
Exactly.
why it's clean. But But it's a totally different story. But speaking of a mix, and it always baffles me when people talk about a mix of socialism and capitalism. They are mutually exclusive, and this is why. And again, words are supposed to have meaning. So there is a definition, specific definition. Again, you like words, you like etymology, free, whatever. So here's the definition of socialism. Basic definition, any dictionary. There are two things that make socialism. A, lack of private property rights. There are no private property rights. And B, the impossibility of making a profit.
Okay.
So, in other words, and by the way, speaking of private property, sometimes, people kind of mix up private property with personal property. Private property, again, speaking of definition, is unmovable property, such as, let's say, land, houses and stuff like that, something you cannot move. Of course, in the USSR, you could have a car, or you could have furniture and stuff like that. So how can you have a system which allows the profit on the one hand, and then forbids the profit on the other hand? How can you have a system where private property is allowed and then forbidden at the same time? You can have profit and not have profit.
You can't.
They're mutually exclusive. So,
forbidding and having some property that's public, it goes.
But then it's not the system. See,
it's not the whole system. It's the principle behind it.
Oh yes.
Right, but that's the definition. You can have social programs, but see, ism is missing now.
Yeah.
So without the ism, of course.
Yeah, that's why people are like socialist. It's not true. They're calling Obama socialist. It's not true. It's just.
Well, of course, I agree. It's just to make a point. But if we talk about sort of moving in the direction of socialism, that's basically what it's meant when I say socialism. Obviously, we're not anywhere close to socialism. We just have more and more social programs.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, in my mind.
Okay. So what is your stance on free healthcare? Out of curiosity.
On free healthcare?
Yeah, what is your stance?
There isn't such a thing. There is such a free. Here's
the question is who pays for it.
Here's no. Look. Here's my point, and it's very simple. Did we need the reform before 2008, whenever the law was 2010 when the law was adopted? Yeah, but we needed to do just two things, two very simple things. One is cross-state insurance. How come is that Progressive, Allstate, Geico, you name it? You can live in any states in the country and you can have this car insurance. Health insurance, we're in New York City, New Jersey, is right across the river. It's right there. You cannot buy living in New York City, New Jersey insurance. So as we agreed upon before, competition is something that brings the prices down, right? And the second issue which really bothers me is tort reform. I mean, look, you take a car to a mechanic, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you take the car back, if you have a used car especially, even a new car. And all of a sudden, like a day later, a week later, a car breaks down again. So even such a relatively simple thing as a car can be fixed sometimes even the most experienced mechanic. It will never, come to your mind to take him to court and charge humongous fees for things that, he didn't do right the first time around. You'll just bring it back, he'll fix it, you'll pay more, or maybe, give you a discount, and everybody will be happy. But with the healthcare, if the doctor makes a slight mistake,
you get sued.
Sue the doctor for hundreds, thousands, millions of dollars. I understand the doctors sometimes do mistake, egregious. I should use the word egregious mistakes. Yeah, they should be punished for that. But A, there has to be a cap for that, and B, the patients have to be discouraged actually to have this lawsuit in the back of their minds. It's like little thing happens, okay, I'm taking doctor to court, and who is paying for it? We all do, because it's also business.
I completely agree with that.
Good. So I'm happy that here in New York City we found
a lot of relatives that are doctors, and it's.
Oh, okay.
I'm familiar with the issue, so.
Oh, okay. So then I don't understand. Well, actually, I understand now. It's just a project. It's not really about.
Well, it's not about the economy. It's not about the government. It's about state of mind.
Any project drives It's built from what's inside.
It's a state of mind. Free is a
If she
state
builds
of
a
mind.
project, it may be the project first, but it has to come from somewhere. And that somewhere is her substance. Substance.
You mean the flesh and blood? I understand.
It says a lot about
If you had a project, you wouldn't just. All right.
It says a lot
make
about
up
you
it.
that you relate the word free automatically to politics, to economics. Some people relate it to state of mind. Some people relate it to something different. I feel, it's just an abstract concept. There are such things as abstract concepts. It's what goes on
Of course
in our
there are.
brain. It's what makes us alive.
Well, yeah, that's why from the get-go, I said that it has to be specific, because free what? Can it be free as a bird? Well, yeah, I guess.
It's supposed to be very non-specific. It's different to everyone. And you learn about yourself through the project. I know it sounds crazy.
Well, it's a project.
It's
I understand.
the experience.
So do you do that like every?
No, I
No.
do not. This
Just
is not
one
what
day.
I want to do for a living.
I understand. Well, it's free. Nobody's going to pay you, and you have to wear your shoes. Even $15. It's $15, which you have to get somewhere.
Yeah, but I don't like when people say, well, you have fancy clothes. No, I really don't. I do not have it.
Well, but at least it looks good. It looks more than
But you know
$15. All right. Well, good luck with the show.
participation in the project.
Sure. Participation. All right. Anytime. All right. See ya. Bye bye.